Welcome back. Today I'm in the market town of Bury St Edmunds, which I view as one of the hidden jewels of the east of England. Located in the county of Suffolk, Bury St Edmunds was founded in the Saxon times, and its most famous resident was King Edmund, who was killed by the Vikings. The town subsequently was named after him. Throughout its history, the town has remained rich and relatively prosperous, first from the abbeys of the Middle Ages, which you'll see shortly, and then from the Green King Brewery and from the sugar industry, which set up in the town in the early 20th century. Here we have our first sight of the medieval splendour of Bury St Edmunds in the form of a ruined St Saviour's Hospital. Although most of this is now a Tesco car park, you can see that this enormous building, which originally housed monks and the infirm, would have really been a sight back in the day. The town's continuing prosperity is evidenced in the spacious Victorian villas and Georgian townhouses which line the streets. I'm particularly fond of this Georgian townhouse, which you can see here, covered as it is in ivy and looking very romantic in its own way.
Didn't it, in the Middle Ages? And then they must have had a pretty big
The old houses have a handmade aspect. You can tell that every individual pane of Georgian glass in the windows is slightly different from the next. While at the bottom of the street, the front of this medieval townhouse juts slightly out into the road, increasing the overall size of the floor space available. We now round the corner into one of the most perfect town squares in England. Architecture from all periods is here. On the left you have a medieval gatehouse, straight ahead you have the Georgian Athenaeum, and then here in the corner you have a Queen Anne house which has been refaced during the Victorian period and now belongs to the National Trust. The scale and the quality of the architecture is simply breathtaking. The Athenaeum has been at the heart of high society in Bury St Edmunds for the better part of 300 years. Famous speakers include Charles Dickens, who read part of his novel The Pickwick Papers here aloud to an audience. Also, on the roof it has an impressive observatory, which I didn't get to see. Part of the reason this square is so grand is that it was originally home to one of the largest Benedictine abbeys in Western Europe. The enormous abbey's buildings met different fates. On the left you have what is now the Cathedral of St Edmunds, Bury. On the right here you have the original abbey gate, which has been restored as the Norman gatehouse, while straight ahead one of the wings of the abbey, which is partially ruined, has been turned into residential buildings. This section on the corner here is known as Samson's Tower, after one of the abbey's longest serving abbots. I particularly like the high windows, which seem almost to be akin to that of a Wren church. Just a stone's throw from St Edmundsbury's Cathedral, we have this, St Mary's, with one of the longest naves in the country.
I think it's like old people's
It's astonishing to see two such large churches in close proximity to each other. The tower on this cathedral was only completed very recently, in 2005, and it's great to see such outstanding ecclesiastical architecture is still being produced in this country. After some duck à l'orange and potato gratin, it's time to head down the high street towards the Abbey's other main gate. This imposing structure was not just for decoration, but for defence. The monks, like many landlords, were very unpopular with their tenants, in this case the townspeople, and in 1327 the townspeople rioted, storming the gatehouse and nearly destroying the abbey. The monks did, however, leave some good things behind, such as this lovely herb garden which has been replanted in recent years. Here traditional medicinal herbs are found, which were in the Middle Ages were all the healthcare that people had available. A visit to Bury St Edmunds, of course, would not be complete without a trip inside the famous St Edmundsbury's Cathedral. If you're wondering why the sandstone in this cloister looks unnaturally new, that's because it is. It dates only from the early 2000s, when the latest parts of the cathedral were completed. The interior of the cathedral is one of the nicest I've visited, with some medieval and Victorian stained glass, and of course the recently completed enormous tower, built with funds from a bequest.
When he's saying prayer, it's like, oh no, it's lower down.
And so our trip comes to a close. Thanks for watching, and I'll leave you with a few last clips of some idyllic country houses we saw on the way back.